ahead and pass these around right now. If you ever experience any problems while you're engaging in protesting, please let our office know. Our contact information is on here. It's aclunv.org.
We don't need them in there making more and more money, taking the value of what we already have as a country and putting it in outside processes.
From it, I'm pretty happy about what I've seen happen in the last week and a half here in Reno. We've now got over 700 people on the Facebook page. You guys have kept this ball rolling, and we need to keep it rolling. And I have seen for years and years and years the injustices that have been created by corporate greed and even just individual persons' greed. When there's children that starve in the world and there's people making billions of dollars, there's something wrong. To be honest with you, I don't know where our movement's going to go. I don't have plans for that. But I see people uniting for the first time in my life under one banner.
But I feel like if we have discussion, if we begin to come together and have people that we don't agree with, but we can begin to come to a third solution that's not just me versus you and right versus left. There is no right, there is no left, there's just us, the 99%. I talked to some people that said they'd love to come and show up, but they feel like if they got involved with any movement that has anything to do with a union, they would be fired from their job. I talked to several people who are just young and they just don't know what to do. They look at their self and they say, I have no voice in this world. What point is there coming down to this thing? And I really, honestly, from the core of my being, ever since this thing started, said this is a chance for my generation, for this younger generation to stand up, not just for me and not just for his rights or her rights, but for everybody's rights, and begin to take a stand on one unified thing, the corruption that's taking over our society.
I feel that the corporations have been changing the political balance for many, many, many years. It is within our power to change that back.
And the commonality is basically we are getting screwed, and we've been getting screwed for the longest time. And people are actually starting to wake up and realize that fact. And we need to take that back. It's not a government of the corporations for the corporations at all. There has to be a revolution in the way we communicate. And I see and I have some hope with social networks.
And of course this university, as you know, has been hit incredibly hard by the financial mess that somebody out there created for us. And it's rather amazing how effective they have been in kind of in a covert way manipulating the way that things run for the rest of us. That how we speak for ourselves is critically important. All right, how we comport ourselves is critically important, and we need to be more informed than the other guys.
And I realize that y'all are the choir, so I ain't gonna preach to you. Hey, you in the Joe! Hey, you in Starbucks! Hey, you in this monument to corporate greed! Why aren't you out here with us?
Yeah!
And I'll tell you the truth, for all of you who didn't raise your hand and said that you're not a member of a union, if it wasn't for the labor movement in this country, we would all be shit out of luck. The thing that stands between us and absolute poverty and dejection is the labor movement. Great unions in this country were organized in the 30s under the banner of the CIO, and guess how they did it? Occupation. Hundreds, thousands of factories were occupied by common workers, people who were working 80 hours a week, had no benefits, who had low wages, did not have a living wage, lived in tenement flats. This is how we organized unions, and this is how we were able to win a living wage with rights and justice on the job. And this occupation movement is carrying on that great tradition. Railroad Workers United just passed a resolution last night at our National Conference Call Steering Committee to endorse the concept of nationwide occupation. I got
2 kids. One of them thanked the universe or whoever, came back alive from Iraq. The other one was in college that whole time. The one that went to Iraq basically risked his life so that he could come back here and maybe get an education. The other one is up to his hip wading boots in debt. Is that most of us are in a condition of indentured servitude. A gentleman said something about corporations. By all means, you produce something that's wonderful. What do the speculators produce? How many speculators does it take to build a light bulb? None! It takes somebody with some brains and somebody with some brawn and a way of putting the two of them together. Yeah. What I'm suggesting is that people have the capacity to put those things together, to put the physical plant and the person who uses it together in any number of ways. It doesn't have to be at the bidding of the man who has the money. He says, I have a right, I put my capital into it. Yeah, where did your capital come from? I know where yours came from. Where did theirs come from?
My name is Scott and I have a problem. I was born into debt. I'm a veteran. I don't want to be a slave, and I do not want to live in a corpocracy. Thank you.
Horizontal leadership, that's been touched on. Everyone works together, there are no leaders. We are all one, especially our voice and our message. Another thing is we need to start getting volunteers together. Everybody here is good at something. You can all help. Doesn't mean you have to be the one camping out, but if you can cook, if you can make posters, we need to know what you can do. My idea right now is to send what you can do to the Occupy Reno website. Non-violence, someone else touched on that. Once again, we cannot be violent no matter what. Okay, and persistence. This is big. This is why we are here right now, is because New York is not giving up. We all need to stick to this. Cameras too. As much as we can film, we need to, especially when the police are around. Reno PD does not fuck around. Exactly. If you see someone getting arrested, get their name. That's a big thing. If you see someone getting arrested, get their full name so we can contact who we need to contact. Also, if you can, get the badge number or the police officer's name.
Okay, you can email us at occupyreno@gmail.com. We also have a WordPress. And if you just go to the Facebook page, Occupy Reno, or the event page, you can get all this information on there.
Folks, hey, I don't want to discourage anyone, but some of us have been fighting this fight all of our adult life. I started in the 60s, and I continue to do it. There are a lot of folks here that think this is a one-day event. Well, this is not a one-day event. We need to keep this movement going and not just talk about those New York folks or those Los Angeles folks. We're all one large group. And we need to stick together, and we need to make sure that this movement continues daily. Now, some of you folks out here are going to become millionaires and billionaires. That's a fact. We're all not going to end up being the working poor. And what are you going to do when you become a millionaire or a billionaire? Are you going to side with the government and Wall Street that we have today? I hope not. I hope that everyone here will recognize that not all millionaires and billionaires are the problem. Some of them really do have the interest of the people in mind. But most of them don't. And those are the folks that buy our congressmen, buy our senators, buy the presidency, and it's not just the national government, it's local government. It's the mayors, it's the councilmen, it's the people who deal with our problems every single day. Money must get out of politics. Yeah! If we don't remove the money from politics, we're going nowhere. Every one of you might be asking yourself, what can I do? What can I do? Just go out and protest and carry a sign? No. What you can do, every single one of you can do, is what I do every day. Get on your email, get on your Facebook, your Twitter, every method of communications that you have, and talk to your family and your friends, anybody.
I think that one of the reasons that he's been fighting for most of his adult life is because we've been fighting the symptoms and not the disease. The problem is that corporations run our country, and we need to abolish corporate personhood.
What this means is that in recessions and economic crises, the global economic elite puts out their austerity measures, and they attack three areas: organized and unorganized labor, education, and social welfare. And unfortunately, back in this country, when it comes tax time, the working class and small business owners pay the brunt of the taxes.
Us putting our money with those banks, allowing them to use it, is what gives them power.
The Fed is in power.
Now there's a thing called credit unions. We have a say in credit unions. We vote who's on the board of directors every year. And there's nonprofits. And they serve our interests. Now it's inconvenient to be a member of one of those, but until we take our money out of the hands of the financial institutions, we're going to get what we've been getting. Because it's the financial institution, the financial services industry, and their collective unconsciousness, in concert with our government and their inept bureaucracy, and are, as the citizens, inaction of doing anything about it, that's created this mess. So my suggestion, one little suggestion to you all, is within the next week, go down to your bank and clean out your accounts!
It only started with 10 people to start a protest. It does not take any time at all. I mean, it will seem like a long time. But what I'm going to tell you is, one of the biggest tools that we have is we have the vote. And I marched when I was 14 years old in Alexandria, Virginia, to give 18-year-olds the vote. And in July 1971, the 26th Amendment was passed, and that gave us the vote. Yes. You guys have so much power, and you vote who you decide to put in.
Now, over 30 years ago, the judicial committees of the Nevada Senate and the Nevada Assembly held a joint public hearing regarding the proposed Equal Rights Amendment. During my testimony, I quoted the ending words of the Pledge of Allegiance, liberty and justice for all. Then I said to the full crowd, I have grown weary of standing up for a lie, and I still do.
We don't have lobbyists. We can't afford lobbyists, and that's how the laws are getting passed. Look at all these people. Holy shit. This is our lobby right here. Yeah!